Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. And for those that are attending that are moms, happy belated Mother's Day to y'all. Um, my name is Tony Butler. I am one of the life sales directors here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. And today I have with me Brian McClendon, who is a senior sales manager with Assurity. With the month of May being Disability Awareness Month, we want to discuss with our advisors some opportunities that you can uncover with the middle market. So with that, I want to get started. But before we get started, I want to kind of discuss with you about a few ways that we can help you earn um, additional funds here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. One of which is our new producers builders. Based on the production that you provide as a new producer, and you see there's 5 levels here, we do offer different perks, if you will, for those levels. So as you see, you can get mailing pieces. There's an iPad available. We do have a Ritz-Carlton package that's available. Some additional marketing opportunities for you to get additional clients. So if you have any questions in regards to our new producers builders where we can help you grow your production, please do not hesitate to give us a call. Any of our sales directors would be more than happy to discuss that with you in greater detail. We also have our IAMS Business Builders, which is a referral program for advisors. So if you know of an advisor that's looking for an agency, we would love to bring them on board here. We do provide you with a $50 referral bonus for referring those agents once they do get appointed with any of the carriers that we work with. With that, any subsequent business that they submit, there's additional bonuses for the referring agent. That doesn't take away from the commissions that's paid to that advisor, but it's something additional for that referral for you as being the referring agent. We do offer back office support for all of our advisors. We want you to work smarter, not harder. So we offer case design assistance. There's paperless contracting available for you, as well as sales directors helping out with life and annuity quotes. So feel free to reach out to the sales team. Case managers for both the life and annuity teams do a great job of helping push cases through for you. We also have a 24/7 website. As you see here, our website is www.iamsinc.com, and there is a plethora of information available for advisors, whether it be sales tools. If you're a life producing agent and you're looking to do term or universal life quotes, you're able to do that. We also offer e-apps. So we have a couple of platforms from our website that allows you to do electronic applications. One of the platforms, if you're a life producing agent, is IGO e-app solutions that you can access through our website. The other is Firelight. Firelight, the majority of our annuity carriers are available through Firelight. As you see on the list here, all the carriers that are available on that platform. We do have some life carriers that are available as well. If you need assistance as far as where to go to submit applications, we'd be more than happy to help you. Feel free to give us a call at 800 number, and we can walk you through that process. We also have a creative marketing solutions plan for all of advisors. We want to help you whether it's turnkey, agency, or digital solution. And what that means is if you're looking for help as far as if you want to do a newsletter, you want to do flyers or handouts, if you're looking for a logo or redesigning your logo, you need assistance with designing business cards or brochures, or if you're looking to get in the digital marketing space and need help with the personal website or digital marketing strategies, we can assist with that. I would strongly encourage you to reach out to your sales director. Let us do what we call marketing analysis, where we sit down, take about 20 or 30 minutes to kind of go through what you're doing with your business, how you want your business to grow. From that, we take that information that we obtain, take a look at that, and then we come back to you with some ideas, some plans, strategies, if you will, to help with moving your business forward. So if that's something that interests you, please feel free to reach out to us and we can get that scheduled for you. We also offer a retirement analyzer, which is free for qualifying agents. The retirement analyzer is a great tool that you can utilize to answer questions from your clients, such as, can I continue my present standard of living into my retirement years? How could my situation change during turbulent economic times? We do have a tutorial for the retirement analyzer that we can walk you through. If this is something that you feel that can help you with your business, definitely give us a call. We can discuss that further as well. We also have IAMS Wealth Management team available for our advisors that have higher net worth clients. We have found with our IAMS Wealth Management team that has helped those advisors increase revenue, improve client retention, because that's just additional business that you're getting on the books for that client, which consequently strengthens the client relationship. So if you do have clients in mind that you would like to talk to and you need to speak to someone in our IAMS Wealth Management team, feel free to give us a call. We can get you over to Charles and his team. They do an excellent job at helping you grow your business from that standpoint. We also do a Life and Annuity Academy that we try to do once a quarter. We've had a few so far in 2022, and then we have another one coming up in June. It is a 2-day training that we pay for your travel and your lodging. And what we do is we share sales ideas and strategies. We talk about life case marketing, different advanced annuity sales topics, software and tools. We do, like I said, have one coming up in June that's being co-presented with Athene. It's going to be in Des Moines. There are still spots available, and if this is something that does interest you, I do have a polling question that I'd like to get out to everyone. If you can respond to that polling question, definitely reach out to you and get you more information on that. It looks like we don't have a polling question on that. I apologize. There's some additional information that we're going to gain from this webinar. But if the Academy does interest you, please feel free to reach out to me. You can give us a call here at 800-255-5055. If I'm not available, any one of our sales directors, whether it's annuity sales director or life sales director, can help out with that. And with that, I am going to turn this over to Brian. Brian, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, Brian, I am going to switch you over and make you the presenter. And I said Brian again, didn't I?
You did, but that's all right. It's a Monday.
And it's Jeff McClendon. Sorry. I was telling Jeff earlier, I was speaking to a Brian and I jotted down Brian. So I've got Brian on the brain.
No worries.
All right.
All right. So let's get started here. Excellent. Well, Tony, thank you very much. And I'm going to start off by making a comment. I've been, as Tony mentioned, with Assurity, and I've been in this business about 25 years. Tony, I have to tell you that the resources, the tools and resources that you all make available for your agents, that is extremely impressive. Very, very happy to see that. So thanks for sharing that. Again, as Tony mentioned, I'm Jeff McClendon, Senior Sales Manager with Assurity. And since we are in the middle of Disability Income Awareness Month, I wanted to share with you not only some product info, but excuse me, more specifically, to dig into the market, learn about the opportunities, how to approach customers, about underwriting, really just try to give you an idea about the space and ways to make you more efficient and more successful in talking to your clients about disability income. So our agenda today, as I mentioned, we'll talk about some opportunities, questions to ask your client. Your disability income is not a product where you're typically going to get that phone call from a customer saying, "Hey, John, I really need a DI policy." In my personal opinion, this is a product that we really have to open the door for our clients. We have to get them to understand what DI is and why it's needed. We'll touch on some features and facts regarding the product and the market, tools to help you sell. We've got some really awesome tools that'll help you, especially when you're out in the field. We're going to talk about underwriting. Underwriting tends to be the number one question as it pertains to DI that I get on a very regular basis. Looking at the different occupation class and how the benefits and such work. So we'll talk a little bit about underwriting and then wrap up with some tips to help you close that sale. So you've got their interest peaked, you've ran the quote. How are you going to, close that sale? So with that, let's talk a little bit about opportunities in today's market. And of course, as you know, although just about everyone who relies on their income should protect it, there are those certain markets out there that present even more opportunities for sales and referrals. And I love the referral aspect of what we're going to discuss. So, a lot of times when people are talking about disability income, the occupations that come to mind are going to be those high income earners, those high net worths. Your doctors, your lawyers, your executives, those that are making well into the high six figures is the primary focus for DI. But candidly, there's a vast and underserved middle market out there. And whether, they're buying it to protect their paycheck, their mortgage, there's more Americans than ever that need our services, that need a disability income. Interesting enough, and it seems like common sense that people should, really rely upon their income, that they should protect their income. But when you dig into the facts, the reality is that most people would have financial difficulties in just a month or even less without their paychecks. So 7 in 10 working Americans would feel that financial pinch within a month or less if they did not have their paycheck. Interesting enough, and I get this question quite frequently, Tony, and it's regarding COVID. How has COVID opened up this market? And just from my experience and sitting at my desk, I think going through the pandemic and COVID has opened up a lot of our eyes about the risks involved in, going through something like this and protecting that income. And even though that, COVID is not going to be a trigger to get a payout from a DI policy, I think it has helped us have this conversation out there with consumers. The other thing that people don't realize, though, is that disabilities most often are not short-term events, right, as we just kind of talked about. So they may think that they can get by for a month, maybe a couple months. In all honesty, the average disability lasts nearly 3 years. And that's a long time for somebody to live without a paycheck. Even more eye-opening, 67% of people in the workforce don't have any long-term disability insurance. So if a disability puts them out of work, what will they do? Even if they have a short-term policy, what are they going to do? And keeping in mind that the average duration of a disability is almost 3 years. If you've got benefits through work that only have a 3 or a 6 month benefit, what are you going to do for the remainder of that time? So these stats paint a very clear picture of how unprepared many people are for the financial impact of a disability. And keeping all of that in mind, you kind of see the target market. And it's a huge one. It's that middle market, that middle America that we're talking about, middle income America. And these are working folks, typically aged 25 to 55 across all occupations. These are those great prospects that I'm talking to you about today. These are the people who depend on their income and more than likely don't have enough saved to live without it. And they're from all walks of life, teachers, realtors, nurses, contractors. And I'll mention that the occupation itself doesn't necessarily matter as much as the client's dependence on their income. So that ideal DI client is also going to have dependents who are going to rely upon their paycheck. And a lot of times you'll have a husband and wife and you've got 3 children there. So even though, there's multiple mouths that they need to feed, disability income can come in very, very handy at a very crucial time in their lives if they become disabled. So now that you know who we're targeting, that middle income America, let's cover the best ways to have this conversation with them. So what type of questions do we need to ask them? And though, some of these may seem a little odd, maybe a little goofy, I always recommend that you jot down at least 2 or 3 questions in advance of your meeting to where you can help open that conversation. And it can start as simple as, how much income would you need to support yourself if you could no longer work due to an accident or an illness? Get them thinking about, okay, my mortgage, my car, credit cards, maybe a student loan and other bills on a monthly basis. Another question that I really like to ask is, how long could you go without a paycheck before it became difficult to pay your bills? Some people have 3 to 6 months saved up in their savings account, and they think that that may be enough, that old rainy day fund. But that's where I always pull out the stat that the average duration of a disability is nearly 3 years. So are you truly protected? And then that last one, this one always hits home, right? How would you be able to afford your mortgage if your paycheck stopped? What other resources do you have? And these questions all lend themselves to the solution, which is the Assurity Disability Income product. So let's talk a little bit about some features and fact finder and such. And I will mention to you that today, most consumers are doing research online before meeting with you. Interesting enough, about a month ago, I was looking at some social media statistics. I think Assurity does a really, really good job on social media, and I'll mention this to you. If you don't follow us on social media, make sure that you do, because we put out some really solid content, and it's so easy just to repost that stuff. So you don't have to come up with your own material necessarily. We want to help provide you and keep you in front of your customers. But interesting enough, when I was looking at that research, one of the first things consumers do when they are looking for insurance is they search social media. And that really shocked me. I don't know that I've ever really considered that, but it does lend itself to making sure that we're all on social media and that we're keeping our profiles updated with good content. So digging into our product, this is the Century Plus Disability Income product from Assurity. The monthly benefit amounts, we go from $500 all the way up to $20,000. You can see our issue ages go up to age 60. And what's interesting, Tony and I were talking about this last week, Assurity is really pushing the limits on non-medical and no financial justification, no financial verification underwriting. And we've been very, very successful at doing this, being able to get clients approved for disability income without labs, exams, APSs, without having to send in a bunch of tax returns and financial documents. So we are non-medical up to age 50 and $5,000 in monthly benefit and no income verification. Now this is for W-2 employees, so wouldn't qualify for the self-employed, up to $4,000 a month. Keep in mind that Assurity does have a built-in 2-year own-op definition. So that is built in for the first 2 claim years, of course, after the elimination period. And I'm going to make a general statement about our entire portfolio. And I love this about Assurity. Every customer and their needs are a little bit different. And with our entire portfolio, and disability income is a great example, we have a plethora of features and benefits riders available that you can add on to the policy to truly customize it for your customer. And I like that. There's multiple different flavors out there. You want to be able to customize a plan, customize a product case for your specific client's needs. And I really like that about our portfolio. In addition, small business owners. I love working with small business owners. I think that they provide a tremendous amount of opportunity, not only on the personal side, of course, but on the business side. And so with Assurity, we do allow a business owner income enhancement. And this can add 20% to their income. And this is really used to help offset maybe into the income that they're writing down for income tax purposes. We will also give them a 1 occupation class upgrade. course, which is going to result in some pretty nice premium savings and potentially an increased benefit amount depending on what occupation class they're in. Multi-life discount. This is an interesting one. Assurity does offer a multi-life discount of 15%. Now let's talk about this because the requirements are, if you had let's say it's a small business owner, maybe he or she has 20 employees, and they're wanting to offer some disability income to their employees, whether they're paying for it, whether the insured's paying for it. Interesting thing is, we need 3 applications to come in first. So you have a group of 20, send at least 3 applications in first. That's going to capture that 15% multi-policy discount. The requirement is all employees have to be paid by the same company, okay? So interesting enough, 3+ cases will create that 15% discount, and then any additional application that comes in from that same employer is going to get that 15% discount as well. That's for the life of the contract. It's for any additional employees that may join the group after, so a year, 2, 3 years down the road, if you got bringing on some more employees, that 15% discount will apply. And this is a big one. This coverage is portable. Unlike a lot of worksite benefits, a group DI type policy, our product is fully portable. So if they decided they wanted to leave the employer and they wanted to take their DI policy with them, that 15% discount continues to apply. We do not remove that. So for the life of that contract, again, that's another one of the added benefits that we have created within our DI portfolio to try to enhance your offering and try to get you to go after some of those small business owners just because it is such a vast and deep market. So let's look at a scenario. It's easy to talk pie in the sky concept type stuff, but let's look at a specific scenario. And this is pretty typical for us. Stacy, she's a 36-year-old married woman. She's in the real estate business, which is, we all know, is extremely hot right now. Got some friends in the real estate market, and it seems like there's about 10 times more agents out there than there are homes for sale. But it's a great industry to be in. And she's making about $76,000 a year. So again, going back to those initial fact-finding questions, how do we open this conversation? I think the easiest way to start is looking at their mortgage. If we do nothing else today, what can we do to cover your mortgage? So in the event that you become disabled, that's one less thing that you're going to have to worry about because Assurity is going to take care of that with their disability product. A car payment. I really look at the top 3 bills that they're paying on a monthly basis. And generally speaking, student loans, credit cards would come in that 3rd spot. So that's going to give us that total benefit, that total needed benefit, if you will, of $28.50 a month. And then you go right into their monthly salary. So she was making $76,000, dividing that by 12. And for those of you that may not be aware that traditional long-term disability is going to cover approximately 60% of their income. And I get this question quite frequently as well. It's like, why wouldn't you all cover 100%? Well, the honest answer is we want to make sure that there's an incentive for this person to get better and to get back to work. As funny as it sounds, that's really the reason for the 60% of income there. And that's pretty typical across the industry. So when we look at 60% of income, it's roughly $3,800 a month is that maximum monthly benefit that they would need. And that premium comes out to just a little under $74 a month. Now, maybe that price point is too high. Maybe they weren't planning on spending that much. Maybe they didn't have that money available to budget for. So we can look at just a mortgage protection only scenario. And again, that's just covering that monthly that monthly mortgage. And that would drop the premium down to about $32.45 a month. Again, it goes back to customizing the coverage to meet your client's needs. And we don't want to put anybody in a situation where they're financially stressed even more with a very high DI premium. So the customization there is very, very important. All right, so let's talk about some tools to help you sell. A fact finder, like we kind of just walked through, is available to help you determine how much coverage your client may need. But it's just one of many tools that are available to help you really close that sale. So the social media kit. As I mentioned, a lot of consumers today are searching social media for questions, or for answers to their questions about insurance. So Assurity does have a social media kit. Since we are in the middle of Disability Income Awareness Month, it'd be a great resource for you to kind of review, even for those that may not be on social media, just to become a little bit more familiar with it and how it works. Our marketing department, in my opinion, does a really, really good job of creating content, creating marketing pieces that you can use in the field. Every company out there has got nice, glossy, robust product guides and such for the agents, but consumer-facing material. So we do have a plethora of consumer-facing materials for you, and most of them are going to be on a one-pager. So if you're meeting with a customer that may be in a particular occupation or may have a particular need, I always recommend you go out to our website, AssureLink, or you can even go to Assurity.com and look for some of those marketing pieces that may be relevant to your customer. All right, I'm going to take a pause here and make a comment because I'm a huge fan of our Quick Quoter. As I mentioned, I've been doing this about 25 years, and one of the aspects of my job that I really enjoy is being out in the field, interacting with agents, meeting with Tony, talking about sales ideas, concepts. How can we grow this business together? Our Quick Quoter is my number one go-to when I'm in the field, or like this, if I'm in the middle of a presentation, somebody hits me with a question. The ability to go out to this Quick Quoter and run a quick DI quote is very, very effective. It does not require a user ID or password, and that's the thing that I really like about it, and it is mobile friendly. So that website down there, myquote.assurity.com/DI. Matter of fact, if you just take out that /DI, that'll take you right to our Quick Quoter. In addition to being able to quote DI, we also have two new products that we have added. We've added a digital term product. So it is our shelf term product that we've made fully digital. So you have the ability to go directly from quote to application with the potential of getting an instant decision on our term product. Now, keep in mind, this is not guaranteed issue, so it's still going to follow our typical non-med limits and such. But if you meet with the customer and you're talking about disability income, maybe the conversation transitions over to life insurance, this is a great way of being able to quote them, and if they're interested, to go right into an electronic app with that potential of getting instant decision. Another product that I really like on our Quick Quoter is our accidental death. And it is a guaranteed issue, fully digital format. So again, you go directly from quote to application, instant decision. We will capture your client's credit or debit card information, bind that coverage, and then mail out a copy of the policy. So a great tool, especially when you're out there on the road. All right, we're going to transition and talk about underwriting, and specifically, how can we make underwriting easier? And I think the answer to that is knowledge. It's understanding the risks, the occupation classes. It's understanding what an insurance company looks at when we're making an offer on disability income. So starting off, occupation class. Traditionally speaking, there are 4 OC classes. Class 1A is going to be those, occupations that involve heavy manual labor work, where there's a pretty substantial increased risk of an accident. Some examples of this are going to be like a construction laborer, custodian, exterminator, roofer, truck driver. Those that are in occupations that come with a lot more hazard, they would be a class 1A. 2A is going to be more of your skilled and manual occupations and lighter industries, as well as most machine operators. So your carpenters, chefs, electricians, farmers. And by the way, we are very friendly with farmers, meaning from an underwriting standpoint, For any of you out there that may have worked with farmers in your career, a lot of times we know that they do not show a lot of positive income in general on their tax statements. They're reinvesting that money back into their business, buying combines and such. So it's not uncommon that farmers in general show a very, very low income. And keeping in mind that disability insurance is based off of your income, it can be tough to capture coverage for them. Assurity will actually look at two different things. Number one, we will look at the number of acres farmed in considering the amount that we can offer, and also the size of the herd. So if they've got 1,500 cattle on their ranch, that's going to come into play when we're determining how much DI that we can offer. Then we move on to Class 3A. That's going to be more of your professional office type settings, occupations, with very minimal activities that are hazardous or involving laboratories and stuff like that. So daycare workers, graphic artists, a physical therapist, nurses, both hospital and surgical nurses would be in that 3A risk or occupation class. And then 4A, it's going to include those professionals or office type occupations that are rarely, if ever, exposed to anything hazardous. Maybe tripping over the printer in the office would be the biggest risk. But those are going to be your accountants and architects, pharmacists, real estate agents, and such. So I will offer one tip to you. Sometimes you're in that scenario where you're not certain exactly what class it is. Maybe it's a 2A, maybe it's a 3A. I always recommend that you quote the lower risk class, that lower occupation class, mainly because it's so much easier to go back and say, hey, Tony, you know what, when we were talking, I told you it was going to be $47 a month. Well, Assurity just responded, and actually it's going to be less. You're a occupation class higher. So I always recommend you start off with the lower occupation class if you are undecided. By the way, that quick quarter that I mentioned a couple slides ago, there's also a guide on there. Our occupation guide is loaded, so you'll be able to search through the occupations. One final comment about occupations. If you're talking with your clients in advance of meeting with them to talk about DI, one of the questions that I always encourage agents out in the field to ask is not just, what is your job title? That's important. But what are your job duties? Okay, maybe you are a project manager. Well, what are you a project manager for? What do you do? Are you out in the field? Are you an on-site supervisor at a construction site where you're sitting in a little building and just managing the project, or are you out there in the field? So that becomes very, very important to not only understand and capture what their job title is, but what their responsibilities and duties are. Income and financial background information. So as I mentioned, generally speaking, DI is going to cover approximately 60% of a client's income. And though we may require financial documentation if we need it, typically that's going to involve getting a copy of their federal tax returns. We try to do everything possible not to have to go after that. We have access to third-party data. It's going to provide us a lot of insights into consumers today, and it's made all of our lives much easier and not having to go after labs, exams, and all these financial documents. Medical history. So we automatically offer impaired risk coverage or modifications. I've seen cases, as a matter of fact, there was one last week where a gentleman had pretty extensive back injuries. And it's just one of those things that had been nagging him literally all of his life. When you apply for disability income and you have severe back issues, there are, scenarios out there where you may be declined because of having those existing back issues. With Assurity, we want to do everything we can to offer your client coverage, and that may include excluding specific parts of the body. We, obviously would prefer not to have to, but it's much better than going back and saying, sorry, we can't offer you anything. We're coming back saying, hey, congratulations, we're willing to offer this benefit and we're going to exclude this body part. And that way it would at least give you something to go back to your client with. All right, so let's talk about some tips for closing the sale. So we talked about the market. We talked about some tools and resources, those fact finders, consumer facing pieces. We talked a little bit about underwriting and the risk classes, those occupation classes. So how do we close the sale? Overcoming objections is one of those things that I myself struggled for the first few years as I was a rookie agent out there in the field. When I would get customers that pushed back, I don't think that I was prepared enough to be able to overcome those. In general, overcoming objections becomes much, much easier when you have a solid knowledge, not only about the market, but about the product. So make sure that you study up, that you're very familiar with how DI works, the intricacies of it, how underwriting works, to where we can kind of help overcome some of these objections. You know, the first one is, hey, I don't think I'll use it. Obviously, that's a very, very popular one, but here's some questions to ask them when they really don't see that need. Number two is a good one. Hey, I don't think I'll need it. Well, did you know that there's a return of premium rider that you can add that's going to allow you to get a portion of your premiums back if you don't need the insurance? And it's a schedule depending on how long they've kept the coverage determines what part of their premiums that they need, that they would get back. Did you know that illness causes most disabilities, not injuries? That right there typically opens the conversation quite a bit, because that's a shocking statistic there. What about it's too expensive? Going back to the comments that I made about customization, being able to narrow down the focus to be more in line with their budget, and being able to do that with elimination periods, with benefit periods, maybe a reduced benefit amount, but some questions to ask them. Why do you pay for medical insurance? I mean, I think in general, we all expect to have to use our medical insurance, occasionally for your traditional checkups and such, but I prefer not to use my medical insurance, but I have the confidence of knowing that if something happens, that it's there. Number four, how expensive would it be to pay for your treatment and make up lost wages out of pocket? That really puts it into perspective. You go back and say the average duration of a disability is nearly 3 years. Check your savings account real quick. Do you have enough to cover all of your expenses for that long? Because that's kind of the average. And again, it just kind of gets them thinking and saying, you know what, maybe $55 a month to protect my income isn't that bad after all. So come prepared with some of these answers to the most popular objections that you may get from consumers. This is a great one. I have DI coverage through my work. I don't need anything else. So let me start off by saying, before I set appointments to meet with my clients regarding DI, I always ask them, do you have disability coverage through work? If the answer to that is yes, I would ask them politely if they would be able to provide a copy of their benefits when you meet with them. And the idea behind it is if they have DI coverage, a short-term policy through work, we want to be able to layer on top of that a long-term disability product, the Century Plus from Assurity. So there's not going to be overlapping in benefits. So if they've got a 90-day or a 6-month elimination period, we would want our long-term product to start when their short-term drops off. But you will only know that if you get a copy of their benefits. And that way you can accurately quote them, and you're not going to run into any issues as it pertains to underwriting about having too much DI coverage in force. So that is a very, very important question to ask them. Number four, this is an interesting one. Do you know if your coverage applies outside of the workplace? I've talked with a number of police officers across the country. Interesting enough, there was a group of them that decided to retire and got into the insurance business, and they were approaching officers about long-term disability. And I've had a couple of them have told me that when they looked into their benefits, that their DI coverage through their department did not cover them off duty. So if they were on duty, it was fine, but did not cover them if they were off duty. And again, exposing that need, if you will, is really opened their eyes, and now they're going after a bunch of police officers. So that's a great example. Do you know if your coverage applies outside of your workplace? You want to attach value to your DI benefits and really help them understand that DI offers them more than just money. It does offer those options and choices with the customized benefits, and really trying to convince them that, hey, you do have control. There are things that we can do to help you in your time of need to be able to control those risks, and put your mind at ease that you're going to have that check coming from Assurity on a monthly basis to help you pay your bills. So to wrap up here, how are we going to tie this all together? I am a big fan of telling stories, telling personal and true stories to your clients. It's one thing to sit down and say, hey, Joe, I see you make $55,000 a year. We had to look at some DI coverage. We can cover about 60% of it. It kind of makes their head spin a little bit. When you can tell a story, give them real life examples, whether they're personal or maybe something that you've heard. That tends to resonate with consumers out there. Most recently, the one that I'm using, I've got a good friend of mine who became disabled, and he had thankfully saved up roughly 5 to 6 months of his income to help cover bills. He is single, but it got to the point where it was probably going to be another 9 to 12 months before he was going to be released to go back to work, and he was financially drained. He did not have a DI policy in force, unfortunately, and he looked at doing a cash out refinance on his mortgage. Well, for those of you that have paid attention to the real estate market, mortgage rates are up like 2.5%. So when he was looking at that, he realized, oh, crud, now rates are up 2.5%, and can I really afford to do this cash out refi? So telling stories like that kind of help resonate with your clients. Share those stats in our social media guide. Do really open folks' eyes and help in that conversation. Emphasizing the need, making it personal, and that last bullet point, be confident. And that confidence is going to come with being prepared, not only being prepared for your meeting, but being prepared with the tools and resources that you need to address your client's questions. Last but not least, so there's a lot of great disability income carriers out there, but why should you choose Assurity? I'll finish by saying this. Assurity's been in business since the 1890s, and believe it or not, the first policies that we issued in this company were disability income. So we've been doing this for a very long time. We make it easy. That quick quoter and the ability to go directly from a quote into an app. We're trying to bring tools and resources to you to make you more effective out there in the field. We are a mutual company based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, with a good old Midwest values. And we're very, very thankful to be acknowledged by Newsweek magazine as one of the top companies regarding customer service in the financial services industry. So with that, Tony, I'm going to hand it back to you. I really, really am thankful that you let me join you all, and hopefully I said something that resonated with your audience.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
I gotcha.
All right. Well, I'm going to put this back to me here. And a couple of things here real quick, and then I want to open this up for questions. Forgot to mention that our Greenbrier, for those of you that have been on our webinars here this past year, you maybe remembered that we were doing a cruise due to a lot of restrictions and such. We had to cancel that and then make arrangements for something new for our top producing agents. So we're going to do our 2022 Top Producer Summit in Greenbrier. There are 3 qualifying levels for this trip, as you see here. If you have questions in regards to this, please reach out to us and let us know. The qualification periods go from December 1st of 2020 all the way up until June 30th of this year. and the actual event is going to take place October 2nd through the 6th. So with that, I want to open it up for questions. Does anyone have any questions that we can answer for you? And while I wait, there's a couple of polling questions I want to put out to the group. The first polling question that I want to put out is going to be, if you would like more information on what we discussed today, I have launched a polling questionnaire. If you could please respond to that, we'll be sure to get some more information out to you. And I'll leave this up for a few seconds while I see there's some people responding, so I want to make sure that I leave this up long enough for those that are responding or want to respond, enough time to respond. All right, I'll close this out.
Tony, while we're waiting for folks to respond there, I want to mention something. So the presentation that I went through today, that DI Seller's Guide in the PowerPoint, we actually have a brochure available that's going to capture a lot of this content that is available on our website. So that's a great follow-up if you're looking to revisit any of this information. That Disability Income Seller's Guide is a great resource.
Would you mind forwarding that to me so that way anybody that we do reach out to that's on the webinar, we can get that out to them fairly quickly?
Absolutely. Yep, I'll do it right away.
All right, and I do have a question. So, or someone has a question, I should say. Online application, is that available for a DI like it is for life insurance with Assurity?
Yes. So we're very flexible in the ways that you can apply for Assurity coverage. So with our DI product, you can apply on paper if you want. We do make e-apps available. So there's an e-app there, and the e-app does include instant decision capabilities. So when you go into the e-app solution, it'll give you that option of Century plus DI with instant decision capabilities. And then last but not least, we do have Tele app is available as well, which is where you're going to capture that client's basic and general information, and then Assurity will reach out to them and ask the medical questions and such.
Okay. All right. So I do have another polling question. If you're not contracted with Assurity and you would like to be appointed with them, I'm launching this polling question. If you can respond to that, we'll make sure to reach out to you on that as well. So I'll leave that up here for a few more seconds. And while they're responding, Jeff, I've got another question here.
Okay.
They want to know if an instant decision can be appealed if less than desirable offer is made.
If an instant decision can be appealed if they're not happy with the offer, the answer to that is yes. And I'll talk in general about this. I think our underwriting department does a really, really good job of underwriting DI. Since we have been doing this for so long, I rarely, if ever, get any pushback about our offers. But the answer to the question is yes. I would ask that they would come to you, Tony, or somebody at IAMS, and then you would bring that over to me, and I would be happy to jump in and help out.
And just to clarify on that too, Jeff, so we don't get this confused, or I don't want anyone to get this confused with how offers are made with life insurance, because with life insurance, you can get, standard non-tobacco, you can get preferred non-tobacco. With disability, it's an approval in terms of if they're in great health or minimal health, unless it's adverse health to where you could possibly either get a table rating or you would have to go down to the graded product because of that, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. Yep, and the majority of the times where I'm asked to look at cases, it's because of exclusions, Tony.
Right.
And when
Yep.
we dig into it, just trying to justify, and I understand, listen, if you have to take a case or a policy back to your client and say, hey, got you covered, but unfortunately it excludes your back, we want to help you understand why we had to exclude their back. And again, go back to, we can either decline them because they have back issues or offer them coverage with that exclusion.
Okay. Great. I just wanted to make sure that we cover all aspects of that less than desirable offer, just to be clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
All right. And last polling question that I do have for everyone, if you do have clients or a client in mind based off the information that was provided that we could assist with, there is a polling question for that. Because generally when we do have this conversation about disability insurance, or I should say income protection, it sparks, hey, I know this person, or I know this small business owner that, or this happened, and I know I need to be speaking to more people about this. So we want to be able to have those conversations with you and provide you with a proposal for those clients. So I'll leave that open here for a little bit longer. Okay, I'll close that out. And a couple of general questions, Jeff, that we've gotten here this month because of it being Disability Income Awareness Month. One of the questions that is asked a lot is the difference between business operating expense DI and individual DI. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So individual DI is there to cover the income. And again, going back, it's going to cover approximately 60% of the income. That's the individual's personal policy to cover their paycheck. If you're a small business owner, where business overhead expense comes into play is if you as the owner, probably the most important person in that company, in that business, if you become disabled, what impact is that going to have on your business? And how are you going to continue to not only pay your employees, but pay the bills associated? So business overhead expense comes in and helps pay those bills for the business, provide income for the business to help pay those bills in the event of a disability.
Okay. All right. And the last question, which a lot of people are shocked by, is why is, in general terms, why is DI more expensive on females than it is for males?
In general, Tony, and this may not be common knowledge because it is kind of shocking, but generally speaking, women live longer, and the data shows that the disabilities on the female side generally last longer as well. So companies are paying out longer on disability products for females versus males, which of course is going to be reflected in their premiums.
Okay. That comes as a shock to those that don't know. So I wanted to put that out there on the table.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I see that there are no additional questions. If you do have additional questions and you decide that you need to reach out to us after this call, here's a list of all the life sales directors. We do disability as well, so you can reach out to me. As you see, my email address is listed here. Justin Ford, Beth Rickliffs, and Greg Calderon are also life sales directors that can answer your questions. Or you can give us a call at the 800 number and ask for one of us. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you do have. And lastly, please follow or like us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We post a lot of content on our website as well as on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I will say it is heavy into sales ideas and concepts, such as what we discussed today. So we do provide a lot of product information, but we have found that different sales ideas and sales strategies is what help what helps our advisors grow their business. So definitely like and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. Jeff, you have any final words?
You know what, Tony? I'm very thankful to be here with you all today, and hopefully, again, as I've shared something that's resonating with your audience. But since we are in the middle of Disability Income Awareness Month, just keep in mind it's likely that your customers are seeing or hearing about this in some way, shape, or form, especially if they are on social media. So, I encourage you all to reach out to your current client base. I'm a firm believer that that's the best source to go to for referrals is reaching back out to our customers. Let's just make sure that we can protect Middle America. So again, thank you all very much for your time. And Tony, thanks for the invite.
Hey, thanks again. My final words is I would say and add to that. Um, if you do have an existing client base, definitely reach out to them and talk to them about income protection, because more often than not, you'll find that no one's talking to them about that. And that is just another thing that you could provide to your clients to complete that circle of coverage for them. Definitely want to protect their most valuable asset, which is their ability to earn income. So with that, I want to thank everyone for attending. You guys have a great week, and we look to talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.